The most important takeaway I have about this week's episode of Zombieland Saga is in fact the preview for next week's episode of Zombieland Saga. We are not just getting a single episode for Yugiri, a character who I've been crying about, saying please give her a backstory, this is the character who has been overshadowed the most, and they answered my prayers with not a single episode seemingly, but a part 1, indicating we'll have at least 2 episodes focusing on the most mysterious character, and it feels perfect to do so because the one character that seemingly the reporter has no knowledge about is the most mysterious character for the viewers as well. This is amazing, and I think is going to show a lot of interesting things going forward. Now, introducing a new member this late into the show, I found to be a risky decision, and at first, I was worried because, as I've said over multiple episodes, they're really doing good at exploring the other characters, but there's one character in particular who's been overshadowed. So by them introducing a new character, I was like, okay, they're going to put more resources into new additions rather than focusing on the ones that desperately need it. But I trust in Zombieland Saga, I trust in the team working behind this, that I was like, I'm going to give it an honest-to-go shot, and I'm really glad I did, because this episode, even had Maimai stuck around and continued to be a part of this group, I think she was an added addition rather than a subtraction. Whenever you add new characters into a group, you got a risky thing happening, right? Because you already have this established cast, people love it, and adding new characters to idol groups, that happens all the time, especially in idol anime, and you see it in real idol groups in Japan and things like that. But I found it to be risky because really, by adding a human element to this, will it distract from part of the cute charm is that they are zombies. They have to tiptoe around it. A lot of their performances get rather dangerous, and at times would kill people if they weren't zombies. So I was curious, would this be something really good? Would it maybe add a new drama to it? Like, oh, they have to actually really worry about being zombies because now if something electrical happens and malfunctions, it could be very, very bad. But over the course of the episode, watching a girl who literally is one of their biggest fans, next to probably the cheerleader squad from the 2 men there, I really found to be charming because she had a personality that naturally meshed well with everyone. She was a klutz, she was funny, and overall I felt like she wasn't someone who would be a drama-filled addition, but rather a bubbly new persona that seemingly was shaping the group into a new form. I mean, they literally announced at the school festival there that, they have a new vision, they have a new name, and then immediately she says, this is my first and last performance. And on one hand, you might be able to argue, well, what was the point, right? If she was only going to be there for 2 songs, what's the point of actually having her even in this episode? But I think it was fun because not only did you have their identities exposed in a peaceful way, as you're simultaneously worried about the reporter and what he could do knowing that he's convinced they are zombies, right? So by having basically a contrast to what's probably going to be something pretty serious going forward, I'm still hoping the reporter won't be a complete scumbag about it, but then again, this is probably the biggest scoop of the century, and that's going to generate a lot of revenue for whichever organization he works for. I just found her to be a really sweet addition that also really highlighted just how strong this group's bonds are, and something that feels very different than your run-of-the-mill idol anime, because it really feels like no one can join this group unless they're a zombie, because they lived their life to the fullest when they were alive, or tried to, and now this is kind of a second chance at finishing your dreams and vision, right? So by having someone who worships them and finds them to be their idols and things like that, she can definitely be their friends, but she feels like she doesn't have the same fire that's burning inside them, because she is still alive and she has her own things she needs to take care of. I thought that was a great message and a great overall hook to the episode. So like I said, starting the episode off, worrying, are they spreading their resources thin? Are they adding characters when they should be focusing on the next batch of characters? The end of the episode saying, hey, we're going to give you that Yugiri episode. We're going to give you multiple episodes because it's important, but also we're going to show just what this group truly means while being hilarious in the process. Our boy Kotaro probably did arguably one of the most questionable things, though it was hard not to think she was dead, because they literally directed it like Sakura in episode 1 of Zombieland Saga, nice day-to-day bath activity. I thought this was like a flashback or something, it was going to be something like that, and then in comes her slipping, being a klutz, and he just takes her back saying this is our new member, and I'm like, okay, maybe he started the ritual, whatever he did to bring him back. No, he just brought a dead body of a high school girl home, and I'm like, this man was asking to go to jail, and it was one of the funniest and messed up things we've seen in this show. And the fact that she's kind of woke up, I thought she was a zombie, everything about it was directing that she was a zombie, so the twist of her being a normal human already was a fun twist to the episode. So then her twisting it once again, saying we're not going to go the typical route you're thinking, there isn't a new member, it's this group here. That is the group until they're dead. There could be other groups down the line, and if they ever decide to do another Zombieland Saga series with a new cast of characters, similar to many popular idol series like Love Live do. But for now, this is the group and it's going to stay as such. So the only way that they could add another character would be if it was an actual zombie, and seemingly that's not the direction they're going, which I think is good for the type of story that it's telling. The production was pretty tight, the dancing was solid. I mean, there was nothing overly extraordinary about the performance, I would say. It wasn't just really my cup of tea, the songs weren't overly something that connected with me. I did like the second song a lot more than the first, though the first song's lyrics were kind of tongue-in-cheek and funny. It was an okay performance for me. It wasn't necessarily that it was bad production or song-wise, it was just, for my personal taste, it wasn't what I was exactly looking for. But with the wide variety of songs and performances that they've had, ranging from really heavy stuff to soft acoustic to your general teen pop stuff like we saw here, I think they still kept the same quality, which is not me saying it was bad or anything like that. It just wasn't my cup of tea, which is perfectly fine. It did its job, it knew what it wanted to be, and still I come out saying MAPPA has definitely improved a lot when it comes to their idol dancing animation, especially when they do flashbacks to like season 1. It's really night and day with how far they've come after doing so many 3D productions over the years as we waited for this new production, right? I do want to quickly mention it even though it wasn't necessarily a part of this episode. I saw some great comments about the whole Thai thing with her being next to Sakura's family grave in last week's episode. I think a lot of people are starting to focus in, and I really believe in their opinions, is that the reason Tai even came to be to begin with was simply an accident, that just because she was next to her, it just, whatever the ritual might have been, it summoned her alongside, which is why she has no real backstory, she's just the legendary Tai. And I think that makes a lot of sense given how she can't really talk and things like that. It feels to me it was an accident that she came to be rather than she was supposed to, like Kotaro specifically targeted her or anything like that. I'm seeing quite a few people over the weeks, especially with last week's episode with how focused it was on her, that's the direction people are going with, and personally I want to agree with that. It makes a lot of sense given her behavior, the lack of confirmation about who she is and why she's here. It seems like she was an accident that came to be when Sakura was revived, and honestly that accident has given us the legendary Tai, so you can't really complain, right? It was just an overall incredible episode that I think shakes it up while also giving us a breathing room before seemingly shit is about to hit the fan with next week's part 1, that Yugiri episode. And for being funny, for being dramatic, for being emotional, I think it kind of hit everything that makes Zombieland Saga so great, while just making us all the more excited and terrified about the future of this series. Let me know your thoughts and feelings, your favorite moment, and what did you think about the whole Maimai addition/subtraction? Were you thinking that she was going to stick around, or did you actually see her quitting coming? I mean, in hindsight, I definitely could, but in the moment, I thought maybe she was about to expose the identity. I was thinking the worst, I'm not gonna lie, so it actually caught me off guard and I was happy it was a more peaceful resolution. But let me know your feelings down below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you're happy new around here. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.